Hey guys, I'm back with another form fix video. I just wanted to try to do something different this video. I'm going to try to do a form comparison. So I'm going to look at some of the older rounds that I've had and compare it to my form now after doing a summer of field work. I've really been spending this summer doing field work because I haven't had a lot of time to go out and play rounds. I just bought a house, so that's consuming a lot of my time. So just being able to get out to this field that's near my house is really nice to get out there. I actually really enjoy doing field work. It's very zen. You just go out and hook some discs. You get good exercise. I think you get a lot more practice throwing specific throws in an hour, if that's all the time that you have, versus trying to go out and play around. So let's take a look here. This first throw here, one of the first things I noticed that changed a lot as I started working on my field work was the consistency of my footwork. If you look here, like you can see that my feet on the left are pretty much parallel with each other on a line, and this foot is kind of perpendicular to that line. Whereas in this one, you can see that my base is wider and my foot has a little bit more angle in towards the line instead of being completely flat and parallel. And even though like the arm kind of looks the same, the one thing that this wide base did for me is that now when I reach back with the disc, it's not over my foot, so the disc doesn't have to travel around my body to get to where it needs to go. Whereas over here, you can see that when I go to throw, it kind of like takes like a curving path, which takes a lot of velocity off the disc. And that's definitely something that will help your throw, I guess. It definitely helped my throw to get to the point where I can just kind of pull through and be really consistent in this footwork and get a nice grip on the disc. You can see here when I throw it. The other thing I noticed too is that my follow through really improved. My follow through really gives me nice balance. So like I really commit to the throw and I push through with my hips, turn around, and land really balanced. Whereas on the left, I don't really do that at all, right? Like I don't even really turn my hips into it. I kind of just half turn my hips. Whereas this one on the right, I really turn into it and land really balanced. So this one, you see my base is a little bit wider. So I'm doing better on this one as far as that goes. But you can see how the arm being bent here now is kind of leading my disc to still go inward. And as I come around to throw it, I kind of curl it and kind of scoop it too. So I'm getting this real big scoop. I think it's causing a lot of off-axis torque, and it's causing that wobble to happen. Whereas this one, you can see it stays at even level playing field. It comes out nice and flat and not a lot of wobble. You see here, like I'm trying to, this follow through was a little bit better, but you can see that like I kind of drag my toe. I think that really slows down the hip turn. Whereas I'm really committed with this one to really turn into it. Get a nice throw on the disc, stays nice and flat, and then hides back. One of the things that I really noticed immediately changing the velocity that I throw is once I get to my reach back, the first muscle that I engage isn't my arm. And that's what I was doing for a long time. I feel like I was like right here, you can see like I'm like ready to crank the disc with my arm, with like my tricep and I guess my lat and I don't know, and my forearm and my wrist to turn it when it gets out. And that's not a bad throw on the left. It got pretty far, but this disc was like 164-gram Eagle, so it's a -2, and it was pretty beat up, and it still didn't turn over at all. It still like pretty much flew like it was like a stable disc, and I think that just goes to show that I wasn't putting nearly enough rotational inertia on the disc when I was throwing it. Because now when I throw this disc, this Eagle 164 grams, like I pretty much can't get it to hyzer unless I just really take a lot of speed off the disc. I will always turn it over, and I actually use that as my my left to right disc because I really still can't throw a flick very well. So I'll use this disc if there's ever a line that's like a flick line or a forehand line. But yeah, like you can see here, one of the things that I really want to focus on now is that I keep my arm straight, and I don't use my arm to pull the disc through at all. I engage like the upper back shoulder area, and I really like use that to torque into the throw, and that really allows me to have like a stable base, and really all that led to like my footwork getting better because I knew that I needed to have my arm out straight in order for that to work, and I knew that I needed to really lift my foot to let the hips turn so I would land balance instead of like kind of being unbalanced at the end. And really, it's just like that. With that one change, really kind of like helped my form the most. I think of all the changes that I've made, just thinking about engaging the upper shoulder, the upper back shoulder area was really the biggest difference in distance that I've seen when I made that adjustment and when I have that thought process to my throw. And you can see here, like this bent arm is really going to make me round the disc. It goes right around my body. There's no rail there. Whereas this one, I mean, this is not really on a rail too. It kind of goes like this, I guess. I don't know. It comes out really strong. That one went really far. That one went like over 300 feet. This is like supposed to be a soccer field, like a regulation soccer field, but they must have moved these nets up because these are at like the front end of the goalie box. I don't know what it's called, but I think at that line is 300 if it gets to if it gets to this net, and so or this goal. So if it goes a little further, then it's over 300. So same thing. This one, you can see here, like again, like I'm trying to crank this like an ultimate frisbee. Like I'm trying to use my arm and this muscle, the lat and like the tricep, to kind of turn it, I guess, and really put spin on this that way. And like it just never. I mean, like mid-range discs, I could always crank that way. Like if it was a mid-range disc, I could get maybe like 220, 230, but get it to throw at least straight. So like that was what I did for a long time playing disc golf. Is I would not even try to throw drivers because I couldn't get them to fly any path other than a straight hyzer. Like every disc I threw seemed like it was an overstable disc. Now when I use this method to throw, I can really control flex line of certain discs, especially like my slightly understable mid ranges. I can really put a good flex line on by throwing it light, or my overstable or my stable discs. I can put a flex line and have it take a turnover and then come flex back and get a little bit extra distance on it. Same thing, right? Look at this. I'm just really trying to crank this with my arm. Like I'm just using that muscle when really I just want to have this straight arm out and then engage this shoulder muscle, turn. And like you can see like how easy, if you know what it really was, is just easier to explode into that turn. And the only thing I use my arm for now, other than letting it fling around, is I try to focus on keeping my arm or my hand close to my body as I turn. So as I engage that shoulder, I start to try to keep it close to my chest instead of letting it swing around. So like right here, I think that's what I was trying to do when I was pulling through my arm, but it was just like I couldn't get enough rotation on the disc, whereas now it just right there, it just snaps so much more. You hear a little snap on the disc. That's kind of nice. So yeah, man, field work. It's definitely something you want to do. It's made such an improvement in my game. Before I started doing all this field work, I would play with my buddies, and I would always be like 4, 5, 6 strokes behind them, just because not only would I miss easy putts, but I just couldn't drive it that far. And now when I play with them, it's gotten to a point where it's like an even match. Like I'll win one, and then they'll win one, and so yeah, spend some time out there doing some field work. I thought about doing a video that was like how I try to be efficient when I go to do field work, and trying to see what the most efficient way to do field work is. If you're interested in seeing a video with that, leave it a message in the comments. And if you like this material, like and subscribe, please. The more you like and subscribe, the easier it is for me to want to make these videos. So, all right.